Hello everyone and welcome to another video on low-budget gaming PC builds. For this build, at the heart of this system is the Intel Core i7-2600. The i7-2600 was launched way back in 2011, making it over a decade old at this point. This was a top-tier CPU for both gamers and professionals back in its day, representing Intel's flagship mainstream offering from the Sandy Bridge generation. This is a quad-core processor with 8 threads, thanks to Intel's hyper-threading technology, running at a base clock of 3.4 GHz and boosting up to 3.8 GHz. For 2011, these were impressive specifications that put it at the top of Intel's consumer lineup. The Sandy Bridge architecture was revolutionary when it launched, offering massive performance improvements over the previous generation and establishing a foundation that Intel would build upon for years. I am selling this i7-2600 for $20. Next is the motherboard. To save money, I chose the Gigabyte H61M, which is a basic micro ATX board using Intel's H61 chipset. Now you might be thinking that an H-series motherboard isn't powerful enough to handle an i7 processor. After all, in modern systems you typically pair flagship CPUs with premium chipsets. But here's the thing, older i7 CPUs aren't like modern ones in terms of power delivery requirements. The i7-2600 has a TDP of 95 watts, which is actually quite manageable, and the power delivery demands on the motherboard are nowhere near as extreme as what modern high-end CPUs require. An H61 chipset board can absolutely handle the i7-2600 without issues. You're not going to overclock on this board anyway, since the i7-2600 is a locked processor. What's particularly nice about this specific Gigabyte H61M is that it's version 5.0, which means it has updated BIOS support that makes it very compatible with later generation graphics cards without needing any BIOS updates or compatibility workarounds. This is important because some older motherboards can have issues with newer GPUs, but this revision eliminates those concerns. I am selling this motherboard for $12. Next is the cooling system, and this is an area where we need to be thoughtful. The i7-2600 runs quite hot under load. That 95 watt TDP generates significant heat that needs to be properly dissipated. The stock Intel coolers that came with these processors are barely adequate, and they get loud under load while still not keeping temperatures as low as you'd want. However, quality aftermarket air coolers can be expensive, especially when you're trying to build on an extremely tight budget. My solution? I chose a cooler from a pre-built system. This particular cooler features a thick, high-quality aluminum heatsink block that provides good thermal mass for heat absorption, paired with a fan that runs at high speeds for efficient heat dissipation. It's not fancy, it's not RGB lit, but it's powerful enough to cool an i7-2600 CPU effectively, even under sustained gaming loads. I am selling this cooler for just $4, making it an excellent value for keeping the CPU temperatures under control. Next is the RAM. Definitely, to play any game comfortably in 2026, 16 gigabytes of RAM will be necessary. The problem is that current RAM prices are still sky high. DDR3 memory, despite being old technology, has become expensive due to reduced manufacturing and continued demand from budget builders. Here, I've chosen a dual-channel 8GB x 2 configuration running at 1600 MHz, giving us the 16 GB total capacity we need. The dual-channel setup is important. It provides better memory bandwidth than a single stick, which helps with overall system performance and frame delivery. I am selling this RAM kit for $35, which represents a significant portion of the total build cost, but it's a necessary investment for a good gaming experience. Next, the case is still our familiar office case solution. I am selling this case for $2. Next is the power supply, and the good news here is that this configuration I've put together is very power efficient overall. The i7-2600 has a 95 watt TDP, and the GTX 950 graphics card we'll discuss in a moment is quite efficient as well. A 400 watt power supply provides more than enough capacity for this system, with comfortable headroom for stability and longevity. I am selling it for $9. Next up is the SSD. I chose a 180 GB drive for the user, which represents a careful balance between capacity and cost. This is a sufficient capacity at a reasonable price for the buyer to install Windows, which takes about 20 to 30 gigabytes, and still have room for 2 games, Valorant and Minecraft. Since this build is specifically focused on these 2 titles, the 180 GB capacity is actually perfect. You're not paying for storage you won't use, but you have enough space for the operating system, the 2 games, and essential programs. I am selling this SSD for $20. And finally, the GPU is the Gigabyte GTX 952GB VRAM. This is a single-fan graphics card from NVIDIA's Maxwell generation. It features 2 GB of GDDR5 VRAM, which is modest by modern standards, with a 75-watt TDP and no auxiliary power connector required. It draws all its power directly from the PCIe slot. This is very good and reliable for budget builds because it means you don't need to worry about PSU cables or power delivery. The card just plugs in and works. The total cost for this build came to approximately $149.
Fight! You fought well. Sova removed. Gecko's gone. Rest. Remove.
up some sand, Basim. The sun casts a long shadow.
Let us not keep Darwish waiting. I cannot bear another lecture.
These contracts. It is quite a few Darwish has pushed your way now.
He knows I will come through.
You have his trust. That much is clear. Do you suppose you have theirs? These shadowy types?
I should hope so by now.
Then they should show it. You take all the risk and they offer little in return.
They are liberators, Nihal, not merchants.
I know the stories. Still, the price of liberty should be enough to feed us.
Psycho attacks in the city is on the rise. Now that's probably not news to you, but this issue matters to me for a few reasons. There are people who say cyberpsychosis can be treated.
Right.
And I know exactly how that sounds, but I believe even an unproven therapy is still better than a bullet to the brain. If I get a tip about a possible attack, I'll give you a call. Maybe you can investigate before Max Tack hits the scene. But remember, you're not there to execute anybody. Try to incapacitate the attacker, and I'll send someone to pick him up. I hope that's all clear.
yours.
Okay, just tell me when to shoot.
Get control of yourself, boy.
Kill it! You're not looking good! Father, no!
Dipshits!
Roost to Condor 1. I've identified a route to the lake. Look for a large windmill. There's a path on the far side of it.
Windmill. Copy that.
And be careful. Roost out.
I think that was my last one.